Hello, Josie Wales here, and welcome back to part 2 of this Combat Mission Final Blitzkrieg After Action Report in this meaty engagement game against Big Joe of the Few Good Men. 1st Platoon have been retasked to relinquish their defensive stance on Objective Sioux and manoeuvre for an assault on Objective June. One of the heavy machine gun sections from Weapons Platoon are in support, as are some of the half-tracks. One of which is taken out by an unseen anti-aircraft gun. One of the 2 section Stummels is also sent in to support them. On the far left, 3rd Platoon engage US infantry in the East Woods. .81mm mortars are brought in to support. The 81mm mortars are called off as they are inflicting more damage to 3rd Platoon than they are to the enemy. More American infantry are seen moving into the eastwards from the south, as 3rd Platoon begin their appeal to protect the left flank of 1st Platoon. From the westwards, 2nd Platoon are able to harass American units on Objective June. The other 2 section Stummel is supporting 2nd Platoon. And US infantry are spotted entering the westwards from the south. The Stummel is brought up to provide close support. However, like the mortars on the left flank, the Stummel proves to be more hindrance than help in the dense woodland. Strategic Update 3, 11:31 hours, 31 minutes into battle. 1st Platoon are moving towards Objective June. 3rd Platoon are providing left flank protection for 1st Platoon. The Weapons Platoon have been split between 1st and 3rd. And 2nd Platoon are engaging US infantry in the westwards on the right flank. The flak guns are still providing overwatch and fire support from their positions at the rear, and 3 of the 4 remaining Stummels are moved forward, 1 on the left, 1 in the centre and 1 on the right. The 4th is being kept back for long range support. The forward observer is moving on the right flank to get better observation across the map into the East Woods. The dismounted Stummel crew from 3rd Section HQ are redirecting the 81mm mortars now onto Objective June. Now that the Americans have been engaged across the front, the lines look like this. So far, the amended plan is working. The peel towards Objective June undertaken by 3rd Platoon is acting like a barrier, which is enabling 1st Platoon to get into positions to be able to assault Objective June. Enemy movements have been focused on moving through the eastwards on my left and the westwards on my right. Apart from the odd half-track and perhaps an AA gun, I'm not seeing a lot of infantry on Objective June. Back on Objective Jill, number 3 flak has become immobilised with the gun facing away from the area of operations. Despite some casualties, 3rd Platoon continue their peel on the left towards Objective June. In the centre, the weapons teams and half-tracks throw all available firepower onto the objective. Whilst the Americans' heads are down, a team from 1st Platoon's 1st Squad embark onto a half-track and make a dash for June. They make it onto the objective. However, the Americans are home. And wipe out all but one of the team. At the eastern end of the West Woods, US infantry are able to fire upon the rest of 1st Platoon, which are still manoeuvring into their assault positions. However, one section Stummel is able to respond. And see them off. On the right, 2nd Platoon's engagement with infantry in the Westwoods continues. And as one of the teams breaks, US infantry on the far right reveal themselves. The nearby 2 section Stummel is ordered to engage the new threat on the right. But is forced to withdraw due to American small arms fire. Back in the centre, more US half-tracks arrive on Objective June. The 50 cals on the half-tracks are lethal, but the gunners are easy pickings for the MG42s. On the far left in the Eastwoods, number 1 team of 2 section weapons platoon are holding the left flank. Back in the centre, 1st and 3rd Platoon are both encroaching on Objective June under heavy machine gun cover. On the far right, the 2-section Stummel seen off earlier by US riflemen attempts to re-enter the fight. But is basically providing target practice for an American rifle platoon. And so is forced back again, this time with its tail between its legs. In the centre, another opportunity is spotted to deliver a second fire team onto Objective June. Adding to the firepower, the 81mm fire mission impacts on the southern end of Objective June. And as the fire team make it onto the northern end of the objective, the rest of 1st Platoon move up quickly in support. One section Stummel is also brought up to provide closer support. But is frustratingly taken out by the still unseen anti-aircraft gun. As 1st Platoon continue to try and get more teams onto the objective, a second unseen anti-aircraft gun makes its presence felt. Strategic Update 4, 11:39 hours, 39 minutes into battle. 1st Platoon are in the full throes of the assault on Objective June, with 3rd Platoon as intended supplying left flank protection for them. Weapons Platoon are mostly supporting 1st Platoon, although 2 sections 1st team is holding the left flank. 2nd Platoon are holding their position in the westwards as a US rifle platoon encroaches from the south. I'm down to 3 Stummels, which are spread out across the map. I still have a working flat gun and multiple support half-tracks. The lines currently look like this. Taking a closer look at the assault on Objective June, it can be seen how 3rd Platoon has been able to provide flank protection to 1st Platoon and shielded them from the threat in the east woods, allowing 1st Platoon to encroach towards Objective June intact and provided the opportunity to get one fire team onto the objective. Alarmingly, I'm encountering fire from at least 2 enemy anti-aircraft guns. One source is to the east of the objective, within the east woods. The second is somewhere to the west of the objective, although neither has been spotted. This puts 1st Platoon in a very exposed position as they attempt to cross the open ground in front of the objective. My only real option is to get the AA guns spotted so I can bring my Stummels to bear on them whilst keeping both my infantry and Stummels out of sight of their gunners. On the right, another half-track is brought up to support 2nd Platoon as US infantry continue to advance into the west woods. At this point, 2nd Platoon's HQ is taken out. Centre Stummel moves to support 2nd Platoon. West of Objective June, one of the AA guns is spotted. The assault rapidly crumbled. From half-track to Civ in under 10 seconds. A general withdrawal away from Objective June is ordered under machine gun fire and smoke. Stranding 1st Platoon's 1st squad on the objective. The lone survivor runs in panic, removing my fingertip grip on the objective. The Americans start to push heavily on the left flank. First team 2-section heavy machine gun pull back to set up a second defensive position. The last of 1-section Stummels has moved up to support the left. The Stummel destroyed, the heavy machine gun team are quickly overrun. The left flank is left seriously weakened. Towards the American rear, a full troop truck is spotted. And infantry are seen moving out from Hill KT1. The Americans launched a coordinated push all along the left flank. All available firepower is brought to bear on them. In the firefight, 3rd Platoon leader is wounded. A continued fighting withdrawal was the only option. The second AA gun finally reveals itself, and hell quickly follows. Near KT1, more US riflemen are spotted moving towards the east woods. Strategic Update 5, 11:48 hours, 48 minutes into battle. The combined arms counterattack on my centre and left by my opponent was expertly timed and coordinated. It has proved devastating. In 4 minutes I've lost almost 40 men and 4 vehicles, not only leaving my own assault in tatters, but also turning my withdrawal into a rout. 1st Platoon have been practically annihilated and are down to merely 8 men. 3rd Platoon have not fared much better and are down to 12 men, but they have also lost their platoon leader. Weapons Platoon have fared the best and still have 3 teams operational. On the right, 2nd Platoon are holding their ground still, despite also having lost their platoon leader. 1 Stummel survives on the right, but the gunner is dead. And 1 flak gun is still operational. Now that I've been pushed back away from Objective June, the lines are as shown. With the recent battering and more enemy troops moving down from KT1, the only option left for me as far as I see it is to try and hold on to the objectives I currently have. Sue on the left and Jill on the right. Holding the right flank should be pretty straightforward. 2nd Platoon are embedded in the westwards and my opponent will have to come to me if he wishes to break through. Even if he does, I have support personnel on Jill ready to fight to the last. Holding the left will be tougher, as that is where my opponent is throwing all of his weight. But I do have the heavy machine gun teams of Weapons Platoon deployed in good positions, as well as a couple of support half-tracks still left on this side. I'll attempt to pull the remnants of 1st and 3rd Platoon back to a defensive position between the heavy machine gun teams, and hold out for as long as I can. The defence of Objective Sue depends on the machine guns. One of the AA guns is dismounted, as the remnants of 1st and 3rd Platoon set up a defensive line. However, the other one is still wreaking havoc and the Weapons Platoon leader is killed. Alarmingly, US infantry is spotted behind the leftmost heavy machine gun team. It's considered prudent for the surviving half-tracks to back up. Support units redeploy from Objective Jill to bolster the defence of Sue as much as possible without leaving Jill too exposed. Towards the rear, number 2 flak gun relocates in an attempt to get line of sight to the remaining US anti-aircraft gun. Unfortunately, the Americans have other ideas. On the right, it gets up close and personal with 2nd Platoon in the west woods.
Enemy troops.
However, 2nd Platoon begin to get the upper hand. In the closing minutes, the Americans consolidate their hold on Objective June. And continue towards Objective Sioux. 1st and 3rd Remnants hold their defensive position with the remaining half-tracks in support. The defensive line holds. And with a final exchange of fire, the battle reaches its conclusion. And it is a draw. My opponent has 220 men OK compared to my 78. He has taken 187 casualties compared to my 117, and he has lost 5 armoured vehicles compared to my 14. He has secured 1 major objective, Kate, and 1 minor objective, June, and scores 344 points for inflicting casualties on me. I have also secured 1 major objective, Jill, and 1 minor objective, Sue, and have scored 241 points for inflicting casualties on Big Joe. Looking at the map, we can see the full extent of Big Joe's forces and where they are. And if we draw in the battle lines, we can first see the current and final position showing my left flank start to fold back, and my high tide mark in the hatched area showing how much ground I lost to Big Joe's coordinated counter-attack. Looking at the contested Objective June, we can see Big Joe's control is absolute, with more troops pouring in from the south. Infantry wise, I was numerically outnumbered with Big Joe's 2 rifle companies to my 1. We both had a lot of half tracks and we both had 2 mobile anti-aircraft guns. However, it looks like my spend on armoured vehicles was higher, as I had 5 Stummels to only 2 US armoured cars. So how could I have turned this situation into a victory given the forces at my disposal? Well, I could have stuck with the original plan and forced my way through the eastwards on my left and then moved on to Objective Sioux. Although this would have given me better protection from the marauding AA guns, I would have been fighting a company and a half of veteran US riflemen with my 2 rifle platoons and a weapons platoon, so I doubt I would have punched through. Perhaps a better option would have been to have an entirely different strategy from the start and wait my forces on my right flank in the westwards. This would have allowed for an attack on the major objective Kate. A distraction force could have been sent over to the left and try and draw forces away from Kate. However, Big Joe would have no doubt responded, and my infantry would still have been exposed to the AA guns for the final push on Objective Kate. Which forces me to conclude that the only real chance of victory would have been to annihilate both of Big Joe's AA guns while still having some Stummels in play. However, all were lost. 1 in the opening minutes to an armoured car, 2 to the quad AA gun, 1 to a bazooka, and 1 to infantry small arms. So victory snatched by some small mistakes on my part, but also by some excellently planned and executed play on part of my opponent. A big thank you to Big Joe. If you like what you've seen, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'm Josie Wales. War is hell. Thanks for watching.